Everyone, this is Teresa, and this is intended to be a very brief screencast to help to walk you through the work that was done today on the learning progression of communication. So I just want to draw your attention to the Google folder that was created and shared with you. So please check either your Gmail or your Kirkwood email for this Google folder, CBPD TNL Team Resources. The particular document is going to be in this subfolder called Learning Progression Work. And then it's the document, the Google Doc, Communication Learning Progression. So again, just to really quickly walk you through this work, what Sarah Riesler and I did was to just copy and paste the competency of communication and verbatim write out how it is defined per the QFP. Then what we did is unpack it, and we used Rose's model of how to unpack competency and proceed with a learning progression. She did that for the competency of learning management, and you also have access to that document within this shared folder. So we unpacked this, the verbiage within the competency, and we took it quite literally because that's in fact how we think we can unpack it and actually derive some actionable items from the competency. So action statements like students can or will be able to do. So if we read it as faculty will use effective verbal, nonverbal, and media communication techniques as well as other forms of symbolic representation to foster active inquiry and collaboration and support interaction in instructional settings. Sarah and I unpacked this term of active inquiry. We found that when we did research on the web, the term active inquiry really is synonymous from a research perspective with inquiry-based learning. If that is the case, then we did draw up a learning progression that aligns with inquiry-based learning. Students would be able to recognize that science is more than memorizing and knowing facts. This key right here, or this abbreviation NYC, and there's a key at the bottom of this Google Doc. NYC stands for not yet competent. Students would be able to develop new knowledge that builds on their prior knowledge and scientific ideas, not yet competent. Develop new knowledge by restructuring their previous understandings of background knowledge and adding new information learned would be competent. Learn from each other, competent with distinction. Take control of their learning, also competent with distinction. And where we drew these competencies was actually from the National Science Education Standards. They come directly from that, so that seemed to lend itself to active inquiry, if again we are understanding it as inquiry-based learning. However, of note, if the authorial intention is that active inquiry is synonymous with student engagement, then the student learning progression would be very different. We did not proceed that way. We took it very literally, again, with the understanding that we are not to be revising the competencies in their current state. Some more citations, just so you can see that we did look for research-informed practices to inform our understanding of the vernacular in the competency. Then we unpacked collaboration, the term collaboration. When we looked up collaboration in scholarly works, we noted that collaboration is used synonymously with collaborative learning as a pedagogical technique. So what we really did was to operationalize this term and not collaboration. The definition of collaborative learning being an instruction method in which students at various performance levels work together in small groups toward a common goal. So we created a learning progression. We created a learning progression related to that competency of collaboration. Students will be able to engage effectively as part of a group, not yet competent. Describe individual accountability to the group, not yet competent. Participate in team-based learning, competent. Apply problem problem-based learning techniques, competent, reflect upon peer learning, competent with distinction, express self-growth as a result of collaboration, competent with distinction. And we have citations for how we drew upon creating this learning progression. Michelson is well reputed for his work in the team-based learning field, so we just put a citation for Michelson. Problem-based learning, there are many people that are attributed to that, and this is just one author, or actually several authors who maybe they did a meta-analysis, I don't recall. Then the last component that we derived from this competency, and if I go back up to the definition of this competency of communication, faculty will be able to use effective verbal, nonverbal, and media communication techniques as well as other forms of symbolic representation to foster active inquiry and collaboration. And, so this is the last part that we're unpacking, and support interaction in instructional settings. So what does that mean, or what would it look like in terms of what students would be able to do? So in unpacking collaboration, we noted here, students would be able to appropriately self-manage to alleviate inattentiveness, not yet competent, appropriately respond to questions, not yet competent, engage in peer-to-peer participation, competent, construct and answer probing questions, competent with distinction, construct and answer higher order questions, competent with distinction. And again, citations, because we had to look at, well, what does interaction look like in a classroom? That term seemed kind of odd actually within the definition of communication, so we cited this article that researches interaction skills in instructional settings, and we vetted out again what students would be doing if they were interacting in a class environment. Work in progress, some citations needed for effective questioning techniques. So that's the work that we did today. Here's the key for the progression, the competency progression in terms of the labeling. And I hope that that helps you to understand our work today. Please comment here as Lydia's commenting. That's a great idea. Please comment here if you have any questions, as this is certainly intended to be a collaborative document. Thanks.